Today I'm talking about the track D for Dangerous by the Reverend Horton Heat. And this is perhaps a not very well known track, but I hope you're going to like it. It's a fantastic, sinister sounding rockabilly instrumental. Loads of great guitar stuff happening in this one. We've got some great riffs, amazing solo, we've got hybrid picking. It's a really fun one to play. So this one was completely new to me up until a couple of months ago when somebody emailed and requested that I take a look at it in one of my videos. And the track really struck me. I think I was dimly aware of Reverend Horton Heat before, but I've not properly investigated their music. And it's always nice to be introduced to great new music by people, either in emails or in comments. And to some extent, I hope that's what I do on this channel. I like to look at stuff that's maybe a little bit overlooked or underappreciated. I'm going to begin by playing through the track, and I think I may as well just play through the whole thing today, just because it's such a great piece of music and it's so much fun to play. And once again, on my backing track, drums are provided by my friend Steve. He very kindly recorded this for me. He's done an amazing job on what I think is quite a challenging drum part. And if any of you want some drums recorded, he does a lot of remote sessions. I'll put his details underneath this video. He's obviously a great player, and he's also great at recording drums, which is quite a skill. He always gets some amazing sounds, so check that out if you're interested. Let me start by playing through the track. So there we go, that was fun, and quite a challenging piece to play, this one, and I've been working on it off and on for the past 2 or 3 weeks, and not quite as confident as I'd like to be in a couple of spots, but that's where I'm at the moment, and I'm probably going to continue practicing this one just because I've really been enjoying it. So as I said, I'm not that familiar with Reverend Horton Heat. I knew the name, I think I knew a couple of tracks, but I didn't know this particular track. And this was recorded in 1991, taken from the album Smoke 'Em If You Got 'Em, which I think was their debut album. And I suppose they're a kind of rockabilly band, a modern day rockabilly band, or sometimes described as a psychobilly band. And there's actually a track on this album called Psychobilly Freakout, which is one of their better known tracks. And their guitarist Jim Heath, obviously an amazing player. And I spent quite a lot of time transcribing this track, just listening carefully to the original recording. And then subsequently I actually found a live video of him playing this song on YouTube, and that was actually really helpful, and it's exactly the kind of live video you want if you're a guitar nerd, because you can see both of his hands very clearly and see exactly what he's doing. So that allowed me just to correct a couple of things with my transcription and make sure that all of the fingerings are totally accurate. So let's take a look. We're in the key of D minor, and let's kick off with the introduction, which sounds like this. So we're starting off, we're in the 5th position, and we've got a bend. It's a semitone bend. We're bending an E up to an F. This is the 7th fret on the 5th string. And then we're into this D power chord shape. We've got 5 on the A and 7 on the D. And we're just playing the D note. And then the higher A note. Then we're really just changing the bass note, so we're reaching over to play this B flat at the 6th fret on the low E string. So I suppose what that is implying, it's kind of a D minor sound going to a B flat sound, or maybe a B flat major 7 sound. And then we just repeat that. And again. This nice little slide, and it's really just moving this shape up, so we're holding down the B flat and this high A note here and just sliding that up 3 frets and then back again. And all of this stuff only really works if you're using this fingering, so notice that I'm using my little finger to play that high A note, my 2nd finger here, and then just sliding that shape up and back again. And it's that fingering that makes it smooth, I think. And then this section ends with some chords. So this is the dominant 7 chord in the key of D minor, so it's an A7, just playing an A7 bar chord, and then I'm going to this chord here, kind of a jazzier altered dominant sound, and that, I suppose it's an A7 flat 13 flat 9 sound. So I've got the A root note, and then I've got 5 on the D, and then the 6th fret on the top 3 strings, and several ways you could play that. I quite like to get my thumb over the top, and I'm muting the A string, and I've got my 1st finger on this G, and then barring with my 3rd finger for the higher notes. So that's the dominant chord, which then takes us back to D minor for the start of the next section. All of that one more time slowly. Should probably also say something about the rhythm here, and I'm feeling this in kind of a 12/8 time signature. So you've got 4 beats, but each beat is divided up into 3, so it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so I'm going to be tapping my foot on the strong beat, and then you want to feel those 3 subdivisions inside of each beat. Into the next section, and not quite sure what to call this. I was going to call it the verse, but I don't know if that's quite the appropriate term for an instrumental song. But it's the main riff, it's the A section of the tune. It's the bit that goes like this. So it starts off like this. So we've got a D, a B flat, and then we're into this same little shape that we had in the introduction. It's the B flat and the A shape, just sliding that up, and then we're back to our D power chord shape. And all of this section of the tune is going to work best with some hybrid picking or pick and fingers stuff. And in the video that I mentioned, you can see that Jim Heath is using this technique, and it's by far the best way to pull this one off, I think. So with this particular riff, I'm using my pick, but then on this shape here, I'm using pick and the middle finger of my picking hand. So, and then the riff continues. So we're in that D power chord shape, and we're just changing the high note. We're going up to an A sharp or a B flat, and then back again, and then we're going to an A flat kind of octave shape here. So 4th fret on the low E, 6th fret on the D, and then just moving that up 1 fret to the A. Again, just using hybrid picking here. And then the riff repeats. It just ends differently the second time. So instead of going to the A octave shape, we're going to an A and a G. It's kind of a minor 7th interval. It repeats again. Then the riff develops, and you're going to want to hold down an A flat bar chord shape, and the pick is just playing that low root note, and then the finger is going to play the D, G and B strings. So then we're going to an A7 chord and a similar kind of thing. So the pick is playing the root note, and then we're bringing out a little melody on the top string. So it's a C sharp, G and an F. And then, so we're going to kind of an F minor sound. I think we've got the root note, and then the melody is kind of A flat, G and F. Let's have all of that section slowly then. Just on that last chord, I'm really just strumming across all of the strings barred at the 1st fret. Next section, call it a chorus, call it a B section, whatever you like really. That's the bit that goes like this. So essentially we're just going between a G chord and an F minor chord. So the G chord, I'm just kind of playing like this. It's the G where you've got your 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. We're just arpeggiating that chord. And then going to F minor, and we're playing a little single note riff here. So starting on the F, sliding up to an A flat, and then we've got C, D, F, back to D. And it's on the G chord where you've got quite a lot of fills and variations throughout the track. So you can just arpeggiate that chord, or you can strum the chord. And sometimes Jim Heath is playing the G chord up here, so up in the 10th position. And sometimes there are some little double stop or single note fills. So we've got, that's one that you hear, I think, so just double stops on the top two strings. So we got B and D, and then taking that same shape 3 frets higher. So and then you've really got to be quite quick to get right down the other end of the neck to play the F riff. And we're coming out of that section with some more bar chords. So we've got an A flat bar chord. So strumming the chord on beat 1. And then we've got some more of this hybrid picking stuff. Just bringing out the notes on the B string and on the G. Moving up to an A7, and that's the same thing. And then moving that chord 1 fret higher, we've got a B flat 7. And just got a little embellishment on the top of that chord, so just putting down my little finger on this A flat. And then we're back to A7. And this jazzy flat 13, flat 9 chord like in the introduction. All of this B section slowly then. So that's the basic idea. I will write out note for note all of the little fills that you can hear throughout the track in my transcription. Let's talk about the solo then. And it's a fantastic solo, really well constructed, loads of nice licks. And obviously it's quite a commitment if you want to learn the entire solo note for note. So I'm not suggesting you necessarily do that, but you could easily just go through it and choose 1 or 2 licks and then add those to your vocabulary. In fact, just before we reach the solo proper, we've got this section. Just using these little 3-note shapes, we've actually got a D minor triad just on the top 3 strings at the 10th fret, and then we're going to this shape here, so it's frets 10, 9, 10. I suppose that's the top part of a B flat 7 chord. So again, we're implying a D minor to B flat 7 kind of sound. And then we've got this. So a little lead into the solo. It's a really nice arpeggio bass line. We've got like an A arpeggio, A triad, and then it's kind of a diminished arpeggio, I suppose. And then we're sliding up to the 10th position to start the solo proper. Most of the solo you can see is coming out of our familiar D minor pentatonic shape at the 10th fret, and there are some extra notes thrown in there from time to time, Just lots of nice rock and roll and rockabilly vocabulary. So the first lick proper that you hear in the solo is this one. Just a nice kind of blues phrase, I think, just quite simple D minor pentatonic. And we repeat that. Then we got some bending on the high E string. More kind of similar material. Then the next phrase. So classic kind of rockabilly stuff. We've got double and triple stops. So we've got double stops on the B and G strings at the 10th, 12th and 13th frets, and you can make those triple stops if you want to. And then we've got more kind of D minor pentatonic stuff really, and there you've got extra note added in there too. And then the next lick, which is fantastic, goes like this. So just working on the top two strings and going between the position 1 D minor pentatonic and then up into the next shape. So just sliding up, and then we've got a lick in this box shape here, and then sliding back down. And just a variation on the repeat. We're continuing like this. So more D minor pentatonic stuff really. Double stops. Got the flat 5 in there. And then we've got this. So it's something like that. I'm kind of sliding down from the 12th fret on the A string, and then you've got the open A string, and then you're sliding back up again. And then we're into what I suppose is the climactic lick of the solo. It's this really fast phrase. This is the phrase that I struggled with a little bit to get the exact feeling and the exact vibe right, but I'm still not convinced that I've completely nailed it, but I think I've come fairly close. And the essence of it is a kind of triplet based lick, kind of. So pulling off from 13 to 10 on the B string and then playing 10 on the G. But it's not played that cleanly. It's not played like some shred metal precision player. It's played in quite a loose way, and you're letting some of those notes ring together as double stops. So I'm actually just barring at the 10th fret with my first finger, and the approach that I found worked best with my picking hand is really just to strum in that kind of way. And kind of as close as I can get to what's going on the record. So it's that lick. And then we just have some variations on the high note. So we've got this. It's going down to the 11th fret on the B string. And then sometimes we're going up to this high F note. So if I put that together slowly, we've got that's about as close as I can get on that particular lick. And we're coming out of that with a kind of a bend and this little double stop shape. an A and an E. And then sliding up to this ninth chord. It's quite commonly found in blues. So on the top 4 strings we've got frets 17, 16, 14, 17. It's an A9. And the solo ends with more of this stuff. So these little triad shapes that we had previously, and you can hear that he's using a little bit of whammy bar vibrato as well. And I find that quite hard on the Jazzmaster because my whammy bar is quite floppy and doesn't stay in place, so it's a little bit hard to grab that once you're in the midst of the track. But that's the end of the solo. All of the solo slowly then. And that's pretty much it. We go around for another A section, another B section, and then the track ends with a re-intro. And there are some little variations that you can hear throughout the track. If you want to listen to the recording closely, you can probably pick up some of those variations, but essentially it's just a repeat of the same material. And then we end kind of on a D minor 7 chord, and then a D minor 13. So I'm just barring at the 10th fret, and then got the 12th fret on the A string, the D minor 7, and just putting down my little finger on this B, which is the 13, so it's a kind of minor 13 sound. Let's talk gear then, and Jim Heath I think uses a Gretsch through Fender amps, and I think he's actually got a signature Gretsch guitar which looks beautiful. And quite why I haven't bought myself a Gretsch yet, I don't know. It would be super useful for doing these kind of rockabilly style videos, so that may well happen at some point. So until that day comes, I'm just having to make do with the gear that I've got, which fortunately is quite nice. So the guitar that I'm using today is my Jazzmaster. It's a 65 reissue Jazzmaster, and I'm going straight into my amp, which is a Fender Deluxe Reverb. No pedals at all today. All of the drive is coming from the amp, and I've got some reverb and tremolo on the amp as well. And since I got the UA aux box, I've really been enjoying the natural overdrive sound from my amps. And most of my amps are non-master volume, so you do have to turn them up quite loud to get that overdrive. And the aux box allows me to do that at more ear-friendly volumes. So I've got my Deluxe today on about 7 or 8, and it starts to really growl and to distort. Then I'm just attenuating it a couple of notches on the aux box. It just makes recording these videos a little bit easier, particularly as I'm having to talk over the top of an overdriven amp, and you get into all kinds of problems with levels if you've got a really loud amp in the room, and I've not got the luxury of having a separate live room for the amps or anything like that, so the aux box is a good solution for me. That's it for this video. I've tabbed this one out. I've done a monster note-for-note transcription, and you can find that up on my Patreon page. And you can also find the backing track there as well. It's an awesome sounding backing track. Real drums from my friend Steve Duffy, and that's a lot of fun to play along to. So check that out if you're interested. Thanks very much for watching. I shall see you next time.